Hello, I am teaching my sister Eden about Chapter 26 Corporate Law. Corporate law is basically, so the nature of corporations is that the law recognizes corporations as basically a person and they have all the same rights as freedom of speech and unreasonable searches. Although corporations don't have the right to self-incrimination and they have to disclose any incriminating documents. There is something called the corporate veil, and the corporate veil protects corporations from illegal stuff that the shareholders do, and the corporate is one person, and any debts that the corporation should have. Compared to a sole proprietorship, if the company had any liabilities, that sole proprietor would be liable as well. But with a corporate veil, they're not. In special situations, the court doesn't separate corporation and the veil. Usually in fraud and in statutory formalities. Here, besides fraud, here are some corporate formalities that does not allow a corporate veil. Corporate was never set up to make profit or not enough capital at the time of formation to meet timely debts. 2, the corporation failed to hold required meetings of personal and corporate meetings. 3, the assets and interest are personal and corporate aren't separate. So they don't have separate assets for personal and corporate. It's mostly a problem for smaller companies that don't have officers to make sure that all these formalities are placed. So not big corporations. There's something called corporate personnel. And this is this is when shareholders are owners of a corporation you might have heard of who own stocks and they vote to elect a board of directors who manage the corporation. Very basic. Tax. So a corporation is taxed for their income, and then when they pay their dividends to shareholders, they can pay their profits to their shareholders as dividends, and the shareholders have to report the IRS, and they have to be taxed on it too. So it's a double type of tax because the corporation has to be taxed on its income and the shareholders have to be taxed on their dividends. Types of corporations. So there's a bunch of different types of corporations. A domestic corporation is one that is running in their home state. A foreign corporation is one where it started in one state but is running business in another state. An alien corporation is where it started in another country but is doing business in the US. And the business must register where they want to operate. Private corporations are made for private benefits. A public corporation is made for political and government purposes. A public held corporation is any company who has public shares. Non-profit corporations is any organization that is not to make profits, such as the LDS Church or any charity. Close corporations or C corps are only held by a few people and it's usually a partnership or all the shares are held by a family. There is a couple requirements that are needed to be a C Corp or specified as a subchapter as a S corporation. S corporations can be taxed as partnerships, so they can avoid taxes on corporate level. They must be domestic corporation. They can't be affiliated with group of corporations. The shareholders must be individuals except for some circumstances. They can't have more than 100 shareholders. Only one class of stock is permitted, and no shareholder can be a non-resident alien. And this is good because they don't want to be taxed at a corporate level. Professional corporations, this is for physicians, lawyers, dentists, and accountants. Corporate organization. Before you can have a corporation, you must register with your state, and this is filing with the Articles of Incorporation with the Secretary of State. And it's just basic information like business name, number of shares issued, corporate mailing address, and the registered agent's information. There is a registered agent who receives notices on behalf of the company if the company is to get sued or summons and complaint, and this is not the same as a corporate agent. There's something called bylaws. A bylaw decides how a corporation will be managed and run, and its rules how officers and directors, how methods of election are made, and duties are allowed by the corporation. Breaking the bylaws means that you could break your corporation or that the officers or directors are let go. Corporate powers. So the state gives corporations the power to 1, exist, 2, to sue and be sued, 3, to own property, 4, go into contracts, and 5, have all presented to affect its legal purposes. If a corporation goes beyond their powers, they are ultra-vires and may revoke their corporate charter, and the directors may be personally reliable. So that is everything. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening.